Sorry. Yes, Spurs fans, welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. Jack and Dave here to provide you guys your fan show for all the fan show members of this channel who are very generous towards us and are bravely going to be coming on and talking about the Newcastle fallout. That's pretty much, I think, all what we'll be talking about today. We got the great win against Everton, but I think we really wanted to be looking at this fan shows potentially off the back of another good win. And I think we'd probably be flying high, but now we're back to ground zero, it feels like, once again, which is to a degree the life of a Spurs fan. Good few questions here today. Just sort of the first one I could come up with was really just like your thoughts on the game in general. We'll talk about, of course, the lineup and the team selection, because before the ball was even kicked, that was a huge topic and a huge debate point. And then no matter how the game went, there was going to be, I think, a bit of fallout and a bit of discussion around that. But I did actually want to get some thoughts maybe from people on just the game in general. Did you think we even played well? Because I think there's even a bit of divide is a strong word, but there's a bit of, I think, debate over that. Like, did we actually do well enough to even get a goal? Was it just ifs, buts, and maybes? I'm kind of in the camp that I think we actually did create some moments and some chances, even looking back on the highlights today, just some of the moments that we ended up wasting. I'm just like, geez, we really are pathetic going forward. And is it down to also as well, maybe just goalkeeping errors, right? Because Kinski, we all know, kind of played a part, at least in both goals. And maybe if we just stayed resolute, you never know, maybe we could have stayed in the game. But then I think the big discussion point today is going to be the team selection. Should he have gone with a stronger lineup? Where should he have gone with a stronger lineup? Was, rotating Vicario out just too far? Some people are saying that Vicario was never going to be involved. He was not going to be available because of an injury. Not sure how much I believe that, but I think those are the words out of Frank. But again, I'm curious actually whether I actually believe that or not. Cole Mawani and Kudus, should one of them have started the game, and some other things like that. So curious what people want to say about that. And we'll also be talking about the idea of, once again, another manager, in a sense, even though a lot of people have sympathy for all the injuries, another manager that has seemingly prioritized maybe the league over perhaps the cup. So we'll chat about that, because that was something that plenty of managers at Spurs have been criticized before. And then just towards the end, we'll, probably at any point, we'll discuss Johnson and Richarlison. People even cheered for Johnson when he got substituted off the pitch, according to Alistair Gold. And are these players starting to be found out maybe under Thomas Frank, or is it down to Thomas Frank's coaching if you happen to fall on that side of the fence? And last, we'll talk about the injury list. It's debatably, if I'm curious, actually, I want to look back if it's actually even longer at this point than even Ange Postecoglou's injury list, yeah, which is just absurd to think about. So is it down to the ghost of Ange Postecoglou? Is he still haunting us, or is it maybe something a bit more realistic? Is it the medical team? Is it the training ground? Is it just sheer unluckiness? Is it the players that we've recruited that are all made of glass? So a few different things to chat about today, and hopefully we can have time for all of them. But, we have the people here with us, and we'll break it down as best we can. Dave, anything to say before we bring on these brave soldiers?
Nope, absolutely nothing to say. Let's get stuck into it, lad. Good evening, everybody, though, just quickly. Good to see you all. Hopefully you're all keeping well. Don't be afraid to come on and, have your say with us and share your opinion, and let's get going.
Yeah, and also if you disagree with anything, feel free to let us know in the comments. We'll try to get you guys involved, but it is definitely encouraged for you guys to come on and have your say if you are watching in the background. But let's bring these people in. We have Eugene, we have Rain Man, and then we have Mia to start things off with. Not sure who to go with first, so if anyone wants to jump in first on this, I thought we maybe start things off with maybe the team selection, and then we'll go into, just how we played in general. But anyone who wants to come in on this, where do you lie on the team selection? Dave and I felt like you shouldn't have rotated as much as Frank did. Other people felt like, you know what, this was the game to rotate. But anybody want to get us off, started with that?
I think seeing as though I'm going to be the bad guy.
Okay, we need one.
I'm gonna be the nutter on the panel. I think Frank's damned if he did, damned if he didn't. To be very honest, I think he has to rotate. He has to play the squad, and he has to play the hand that he currently has. I agree that if we want to win every single game, then we need to play our best players every single game. But I don't think we're in a position where we can play our best players every single game. I think Frank has to, has to find some kind of balance. And we've been saying it. We've been saying it since, at least the start of the season, probably since the middle of the window. I've certainly been saying it since pre-season started. The squad isn't good enough. And, any outrage, that's where it needs to go in my mind. It's that the squad itself is just not up to the expectations that a lot of people have of what can be delivered.
I agree with you on that, Rain. And look, I understand, he was going to make some changes. I wasn't naive to that. But for me, I don't think he gave us a chance to win the game with the front three that he started. I'm not being funny. He got his answers against Bodo Glimt away from home. We had to bring on players off the bench to save our ass that night. He could have played one of Mawani and Kudus. Everyone goes on about rest. Porro played yet again. Mawani's only played 2 games this season. He needs minutes to build up his fitness. He didn't need to be rested last night. He could have played one for 60 minutes and brought the other one off the bench. He chose not to do that. And for me, that set us up for failure. Newcastle made 8 changes last night. But the one change he didn't make was Voltemada. Why? Because he knew he had Osula there, but Eddie Howe didn't use Osula because he knows he's dog shit. He put Voltemada out there, and he got a goal at the end of the day, and the decision paid off. And for me, there's no reason why Thomas Frank couldn't have put one of them out there from the start, because he knows he's sending out a team knowing that there's no firepower in that team, knowing that there's no players to finish that off. So he sent us out there to lose last night by not starting one of Mawani or Kudus, in my opinion. I get that, the squad isn't good enough. It's not deep enough. And, I've heard their concerns for quite some time, and I sympathize with Frank for that. And no way am I sitting here saying Frank out whatsoever. But, this guy was supposed to be intelligent. This guy was supposed to find ways. He was supposed to be magic. But yet everyone's making an excuse for something he got wrong last night. I think everyone agrees that there was going to be some rotation, but he got the rotation wrong. And that's the big point of it.
I think you're on mute there, Rain.
Yeah, I am. I mean, to say he got it wrong is...
We lost.
Well, yeah, but nobody wins every game, mate. Right? That's an honest fact of life, that nobody wins every single match. So
I know, but it's like that sort of statement for me. It's just copium. I get we don't win every game. I'm used to it. I've been a Tottenham fan for quite some time, but the reality is, he just didn't do it. He didn't put out a team to go and win that game, and that's where the problem is. Like, I'm still behind Thomas Frank, and I really like Thomas Frank, but it's okay to criticize him and say he didn't help us last night.
Yeah, but my point is still valid, which is that yes, we can win. We're more likely to win the games if our best players are on the pitch, but Frank cannot be in a situation. He cannot be in a position where he has to play certain players every single game.
So you don't think he did one of Mawani or Kudus from the start last night?
Well, I think okay. So dealing with individual players and specific circumstances, the one individual player is Kudus. If we want to win every game, or if we want to have a best chance of winning every game, we have to play Kudus. It's plain and simple. I don't even care about Mawani. It's Kudus. He provides us with all of the quality that we get. I mean, against Newcastle, we played Bergvall effectively, in that left wing role. It again, sort of showing just how poor our squad is. That he's now. And does anybody blame him for playing Bergvall at left wing? But not playing Kudus eventually, basically blunts any kind of attack. Now we're talking about Mawani. I mean, we've seen nothing from Moani yet, really. That we've seen that, a couple of flashes. We haven't seen anything, super. And he definitely came to us unfit. He definitely came to us, and then he got that bonkers dead leg, which clearly Frank is looking to manage. So I'm not saying you're wrong, mate. I'm absolutely not saying you're wrong. You're absolutely right. I'm just saying I can understand why Frank, chose the team he did, and I think he's damned. I think that basically, if he doesn't play Kudus, if Kudus doesn't play every single game, and I remember against Wolves, Kudus was absolutely blowing then, and we played him since that game. The problem that we've got is not that Frank is not picking the right players. The problem that we've got is that our squad isn't good enough.
Yeah, and he doesn't. Maybe this game. I think it comes down to the individuals. Like, I think Dave isn't like against rotation. I just think we were all sort of preferring certain individuals be rotated, other ones not. And I think that's where the big debate is. But yeah, Mia, come in.
I just want to clarify just quickly. I'm not against rotation at all. And I even said yesterday, and the people are getting this lost. I can understand logically why Frank has done it. I can understand his thinking. It's not like he's just done it and it's baffled me. I just don't agree with it. And at the end of the day, when you choose to rotate, you take a risk and you live and die by that risk. And right now, we got knocked out, so Frank has to live by it, unfortunately.
I mean, I remember your predicted lineup, or your this is the lineup I do. And you were trying to balance that. You were trying to dance on the head of this devil that we've got. That we've also, forget Kudus, we've also got a problem at fullback, right? We're now down to two fullbacks. Gray's injured. Doggy looks, like he's got half a leg.
Davis injured.
Yeah. We've got no. I mean, I was half expecting. I'm half expecting to see Danzo play at fullback at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He'd probably be good.
Yeah, no, exactly.
He'd probably be competent.
Yeah, I think he'd be decent. But look, I'll tell you where my agenda is, right? But the thing is, everybody's saying we don't win against Chelsea regularly, so this is really setting him up. But my agenda is very much that we've got a massive injury crisis. Our squad wasn't good enough, and we could have really done with some of these loan players which we sent out to provide us with some squad support. All of this, even Vuskovic, all of this. They need to go out to get minutes, and I even remember, Dave and Jack going, and I mean, saying what I'm about to say. I was in the chat going, "Excuse me, has nobody heard of Tottenham Hotspur? We are going to have an injury crisis. That means that these guys are going to get minutes with us, and here we are. I mean, we're talking about Kudus, we're talking about Moani. The real problem is Johnson and Richarlison, who are firm first team players. These are guys who together are on on 150k a week. Add them together, and they're easily earning together over 150k a week, right? However, whatever the balance is, whatever the split is between them, it's going to be between them they're taking 150k a week from the club. And much as I've been joking about Johnson, I fell off my sofa when he took his man on and crossed the ball against Villa. He's nowhere near good enough for for a top Premier League club, even a middling Premier League club. He just isn't. And Richarlison, after the first couple of games, he's just fallen off a cliff. It's just like, you know, he looked decent, and he's completely inept up top. So
yeah,
Frank's just like he's. We need to sort it out, and we can only sort it out in the transfer market.
I just think, you know, maybe this is being harsh. I just felt like maybe he learned his lesson against Bodo Glimt to play Richarlison and Johnson together. Maybe he had to learn his lesson again, but at this point, like, he should know that it just doesn't work, you know, with those two. They're both so incompetent at times that it feels like you're playing with 9 men sometimes. But Mia, you wanted to come in, and then Eugene has also been very patient.
I wanted to sort of disagree a little bit what Rain said, because we actually didn't do bad with the chances we created. It was the fact that Richarlison wasn't in the right places. So, like, the ball, he would be like behind the ball or completely miss the ball. So if we had a Mawani there, whilst I agree that Kudus is our best player, we do need to somewhat think about him being rested. So if it was him rested and Mawani playing, I think that would have given us a slightly better chance, because I don't think anybody could be worse than Richarlison. So I would have definitely given Mawani a chance. Me personally, I would have kept the back four the same and kept Vic, because I think if we have a struggle scoring goals, why are we not thinking, hold on a minute, keeping goals out is very important then if we're struggling to score these goals. So I wouldn't have rotated there. I would have played Paulinho and Sarr, because you've got the legs and the energy in Sarr, and Paulinho with like the way that he is. And we missed a little bit of that with Paulinho not playing there. And play Xavi in the middle. So I would have made changes, but I wouldn't have made changes in the areas I think that are important. I think that playing Mawani up front would have been better. Having somebody in goal and keeping the defence the same is also important. And then we could have then seen how the game's gone and then possibly made changes. I just think that those changes were the ones that were detrimental to the game. And although he's got a balance in that, and I'm not getting on to him because I have got no agenda against Thomas Frank at all. I want us to do well, which means I want Thomas Frank to do well. But the fact is that cup is something we can win, tangibly win something. And he didn't, like Dave, he didn't, for me, give it the best possible chance. It's like going in there with one arm tied behind your back and one leg chopped off. That's how it kind of felt by making such changes in the way that he did and putting Paulinho as centre back when, you know, we need him in the midfield for the way that he is, the strength, the tackles he does and stuff. We needed him there alongside a Sarr would have been fine, because Sarr has the legs, like I say. So for me, those changes are what made the difference. And I think so he could have made it so he didn't do those changes in such a way. He could have made them, but not affect the game possibly as much as what it did affect it. So, yeah, I do criticise him for that. And I think it's fine to criticise him for that. I think that, yes, like, our backups aren't great. We haven't got a deep squad like some other teams. But I do think that everybody complained about when Ange didn't do it. When Ange did it with too many players, I complained and said he made too many when we went out to Fulham. So I'm going to do the exact same thing, keep the exact same energy for Thomas Frank. My energy ain't changing, because I didn't. And you know I was on here as well with you, and I said that, didn't I? I was fuming about it. I was fuming.
No, it's consistent of you. Yeah.
Because I said, if we're going to go for something, we need to go for something we can win. And if we can win a cup, that's important. I don't understand this whole people saying that didn't matter. The Chelsea game matters. Yes, I want to beat Chelsea. Trust me. I would love nothing more than to beat them. But the fact is that doesn't win us anything, because we're not going to win the Prem. I predicted us between 9th and 7th in the Prem. So we're still on target for that in my eyes. So I don't think we're going to be top 4. We're not going to win it. So go for something that we can win, which is the cup. So I am really disappointed in Thomas Frank. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm disappointed.
And the thing is, like, you know, I praised him after the PSG game. You know, he made the best of what he had at that game, and I praised him for it. Just last night, I felt like he didn't want to take the risk to try and go meet Newcastle. I think if he would have started one of Mawani or Kudus, I wouldn't have really had an issue. At least then I can walk away and say, do you know what? He learned from the Bodo game. He can't play Richarlison and Johnson together. They're not creative enough, you know, and he put out a team that, although he made rotational changes, I still think, you know, they could have done something on the end of the night. I just think, you know, when he put that team out, he didn't take into account not really having an out ball to sort of stave off Newcastle's early pressure. But also, I just don't think he put out, you know, a strong enough forward line that was ever really going to take the chances. You know, and at the end of the day, us Spurs fans have had to watch Richarlison and Johnson for so long. We know they're not good enough. You know, as soon as the lineup was named, a lot of fans yesterday in my chat, you know, they were sort of already could see the writing on the wall in that regard. And look, I'm not saying, like, you know, at the end of the day, every other manager rotated, you know, come the Carabao Cup. But for me, it's just like, I'm like, okay, rotate, but at least give yourself a chance of winning the game. And I just think with that forward line he put out, never really gave us a chance from the off. And I stand by it. Like, at the end of the day, you know, I praised him for trying to find a way against PSG, you know, and he done that by throwing a surprise at them, and all credit. But I think last night he's got to fall on his sword on that one. He took a gamble and it massively backfired. To me, his point, you know, Jose got ridiculed when he changed it up, went out of the cup. Conte got ridiculed when he mixed it up and went out of the cup. Postecoglou did the same. I don't understand why we're sitting here making excuses for this guy. He follows the same criticism.
Just to Eugene here, and feel free to touch on whatever Rainman or Mia said there, but I did listen to Talk Sport last night, and people were incensed with Arne Slot with how much he had made changes, you know, the other night. And he was receiving a ton of backlash and a ton of criticism. I'm not sure if Thomas Frank was in the position to make as many changes as Arne Slot did, but I kind of think fair is fair. If Arne Slot's getting all the criticism, then why can't Thomas Frank, you know, be given criticism for the changes? I mean, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's different ambitions. You know, their fan base won't accelerate. It won't tolerate anything unless they see every trophy as a chance to be successful. You know, with us, and it's not just after yesterday's game. It's been always this way in my whole lifetime as a Spurs fan. People dissing the domestic cups and stuff like that. I'm not being funny. I made the point earlier. If it's good enough for Pep Guardiola for 5 years running and his players, why is it not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we talk about wanting to win. Like, many people ridiculed Daniel Levy for years for prioritizing league over success. Now he's gone, people are prioritizing league over success. The reality is, I also think he picked the wrong game to rotate. I think he could have used Copenhagen coming up with these two fixtures coming up. I don't understand why he couldn't have put out an 11 in this game, an 11 against Chelsea, and rotate against Copenhagen. Because I would sort of understand it more. I'd say, okay, the guy's clearly looked at the fixtures. This is the game he feels like he can rotate. And for me, I just think he got it wrong yesterday. I think he got it wrong against, you know, Bodo when he rotated. It came back to bite us. I thought, you know, and, you know, at the end of the day, we can sit here and say, you know, it's to save injuries. Archie Gray got injured. He's out for 8 weeks and he's barely played this season. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, football's about winning. We've had Harry Kane walk away from this club in pursuit of trophies. Kyle Walker left this club in pursuit of trophies. Christian Eriksen walked away in pursuit of trophies. And yet we're sitting here going, it's okay to go out of a cup, while other fan bases are absolutely ridiculing their, you know, their manager and stuff like that for going out of the cup. Different ambitions, I suppose.
Can we just be clear about Liverpool? They're what, 6 losses out of 7?
Yeah.
So I think
we've won 1 in 4.
I think
we've won 1 in our last 4.
But I think that's the context of the Liverpool fans going absolutely, you know, batshit crazy. Is that this is the 6th defeat in a run of 7 games? So that there's some context there, but
yeah. Let's let Eugene know, and because I did ask him the question earlier, and I wanted him to answer it. Just in general on team selection.
Rainman is spot on, and Dave is spot on. Look, I don't understand the mentality of some Spurs fans where they'd rather beat Chelsea and make those DVDs, as the joke goes, instead of trying to go for trophies. And look, I don't rate the Carabao Cup that much, but trophy's a trophy. We're not Liverpool or City or even United or Arsenal, where we can scoff at trophies and throw them away. And the League Cup and FA Cup is our only chance to win something this season. Especially, look, I've been a broken record about us not being able to score from open play. And we've seen it again. Every time we're going to go up against a team that's bigger and stronger than us, like Newcastle, we're going to struggle. If we cannot score from set pieces like we couldn't last night, we don't have anything up front. So for me, and I said it before the game, if you look at Chelsea, their defense is terrible. And then Copenhagen, I would actually rest maybe Kudus or Moani against Chelsea and Copenhagen. Because even Richarlison, who I was telling Jack in the back before this started, he's actually now has become the player I dislike the most, like since I started watching Spurs. With all the Muppets that we've had on the team, including Ndombele, Richarlison has become my least favorite player. Like I despise him. Every time I watch him play, I despise him. But even Richarlison could have done something against the Chelsea backline. So for me, I prioritize the cup over a Chelsea game. And for people saying, well, we want to get top four, that's why we're going to beat Chelsea. We will not win top four by beating the top teams or by having to beat the top teams. We're going to win it by beating the likes of Wolves, right? So we didn't take care of business against the Wolves. And if we don't take care of business against the teams that we're supposed to be beating, we're not going to get top four, top five. The Chelsea game is, to me, it's not relevant to our top 4 or 5 ambitions. Do I want to beat Chelsea? Of course. However, again, it's a single game. I want us to at least have a chance at a trophy. And I feel like, as Dave said, Frank wasn't brave enough. And at least play the Moani up front. At least give us a chance to score. Because again, against Newcastle, we're not going to score a set piece. They're bigger than us. They're stronger than us. And without that, there's nothing left. We cannot score from open play. So I'm disappointed. I'm annoyed. And now just looking at the schedule coming up, there is more pressure on Frank and the squad to actually do well against, United, Chelsea, and Arsenal, given that we're out of the cup. So was that the right decision? No, to me. But unfortunately, I expected it. I'm just surprised by our fan base where, this whole like Spursy tag that's been thrown around. Like to me, it makes sense where fans would rather beat Chelsea and be happy for a day than actually have a chance at winning the cups. And to me, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Okay. No, I agree with you, Eugene, but maybe someone feels differently. Ryan, I think, was in after you. Ryan? Team selection, Thomas Frank got it wrong.
First of all, right, let's put it like this. I blame Daniel Levy for a lot of things, but I do not blame him for what happened since he's left the club. So, no, I'm joking. I'm doing that deflection tactic, teaching Dave how to deflect. No, I'm joking. No, look, right, I don't care
Thomas
about
Frank
this.
Get the team selection lot get it wrong? That's the big debate that we're talking about.
No, definitely not. I think, right, because it's a Mickey Mouse Cup, I don't care about that cup. I care more about the FA Cup than I do about this.
Were you not the same guy? Were you not the same guy streaming for Levy's head for lack of ambition and prioritising league over trophies? Let's be straight here. You were.
Well, yeah, but that was before. That was.
So
when
now you're saying it's a Mickey Mouse Cup. I mean,
no, but I've always thought it's a Mickey Mouse Cup.
Like what is it?
It's definitely. I've always stuck by this. The League Cup is a Mickey Mouse Cup. The FA Cup is the cup to be going for. So I cannot, like I said, I'm giving Frank a whole season and I'm going to keep sticking by this. He's got a free pass and I don't care what anyone says. He picked the team that he should have picked, and I'm happy that he tried to make the best out of a bad situation. But at the end of the day, simple as. So I can't throw shade at him. He picked the right team. Chelsea's the next game. Let's go out there. Let's win that, and let's get the 3 points there, because Chelsea's a much bigger game than that Newcastle game anyway.
And if we don't,
why is that? Chelsea, why is the Chelsea game more important?
Because they're our London rivals.
Yeah, but do you see where Eugene's coming from? Where don't you care more about trophies than just a rivalry for just one day?
I don't care about the Mickey Mouse Cup. No, I don't. I care about the Champions League and the FA Cup.
All right.
They're the two that I care about the most. And at the end of the day,
we're not winning Champions League right now.
But the same people that are saying we have a chance at Champions League now are the same people at the start of the season saying we don't have a chance at Champions League and League. It's about stability and all that bullshit. At the end of the day, look, I'll deal with Ryan's opinion. You can sit there now and say it's a Mickey Mouse Cup, but for the last 3-4 years, you were hounding Levy out of this football club for not having ambition and not prioritising trophies and stuff like that. So I sort of failed to understand where you're coming from on that. But your opinion's your opinion. You're entitled to it.
Yeah, and that's because everyone keeps attacking Frank week in, week out, and it's not the way.
We're not attacking him. We're just giving him criticism.
What the hell are we doing here?
But it's okay to criticise him. It's not like we're saying to him, get him out. Nobody here is saying Frank out. Just because we criticise him. You criticised Ange, right? So we're like, that's fine. You're allowed to criticise a manager over certain things. I criticised Ange when he took players out of the cup to rotate too much. So we're allowed to criticise him. Like, why do you take it so personal? Like, we're not allowed to criticise a manager, man. I think it's a bit over the top. We're allowed to criticise if we think he got it wrong, and he did get it wrong because we didn't win. So I don't understand how you can say he got it right because we didn't win.
But the problem is, Brian and I know where this goes, right? The criticism, and it builds and builds and builds, and the ball. You know, each rubber band gets put together, and the rubber band ball gets really, really big. When the reality, I agree with. I wanted us to go long in the Carabao Cup. If I'm brutally honest, I thought that was a good cup for us to go for. But I also agree with what Ryan's saying. So, but that's the problem, Mia, is Frank could have done the right thing and still got a bad result. That's just the way it is.
But then at least he tried, though. But at least he would have tried to try and win it. Like I said, it's like tying one hand behind your back and chop your leg off. You're not giving yourself the best opportunity, are you? Like, we need the best opportunity.
So, Mia, are you saying? Let me just make this clear. Are you saying that he didn't try to win that game?
There was no intent.
I think that the team that he put out showed that he wasn't thinking. He was thinking also about the next game more so than he was to put players out to give us our strongest, best chance.
The intent, Rain. It's not the result. It's the intent. The intent wasn't there. I'm okay if he puts out the strong team and we lose to Newcastle and even to Chelsea. I'm like, you know what? At least the intent to go for it was there. The lineup, it did not show me the intent to win the cup. It just showed me I'm going to try to do it, but if we don't do it, that's fine. And for me, personally, that's not acceptable.
Okay. Can I just have a couple of minutes? Because I'm going to pop out in a minute. I only popped in for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Sorry,
okay.
so I just wanted to show my face
Sorry,
and get my thoughts. Firstly, on your comment, Ryan, about a Mickey Mouse Cup, that's the most ridiculous comment I've ever heard you make. Just hear me make my response. It's a trophy we have won 4 times. It's a major domestic trophy, which we've proudly won 4 times at Wembley.
Yeah, I'd take it.
We've been proud to win that trophy. We won it in 71, 73, 1999, and we won it in 2008. I want all cups. I don't care who's manager. I don't care if it's Ange Postecoglou. I don't care if it's feckin' Santa Claus. Any manager that manages Tottenham Hotspur, I want to win trophies. And I want to finish high up in the league. And also to Eugene's point, which I think Eugene made some really good points there. Chelsea also matters on Saturday because that is a London derby. You don't lose London derbies. London derbies mean something. More for bragging rights, more for what it means for the fans. But winning trophies last night, that means everything to a football club. That means everything to a fan. You support a club to win trophies. You don't support a club just because we're playing Chelsea. Yeah, that matters. But winning trophies means more. And we'll go back to last May against Bilbao. How did we feel that night when we won the Europa League? I bet you were happy, Rhino. I bet you were over the moon we won a trophy. Well, then, if you're not overjoyed... If you're not overjoyed because your team's won a major trophy, how can you call yourself a fan?
I'll tell you why. Can I come back at you now, Dermo, quickly?
I also just want to quickly back Dermot up in what he's saying, because people now calling it a milk cup, this, that, and the other, are the same people that were spouting around one trophy in 17 years, or we haven't, By the way, that trophy 17 years ago everyone's talking about is the equivalent of this cup that we got knocked out that everyone's calling Carabao Cup. So you were gloating about it, and now all of a sudden it's a milk cup because you're dumped out of it. I just think it's babies spitting their toys out of pram, and that's why they're dismissing the cup, because they got knocked out. Personally, you can't sit there and use it going one cup in 17 years and using it as a thing to berate Levy, as this big shiny trophy, and then all of a sudden now we're knocked out of it, turn around and say it's a milk cup. I'm sorry, I'm not having that.
Magic of the Carabao.
And also, the FA Cup's a major trophy. We haven't won the FA Cup since I was a teenager. And I really want to win an FA Cup this year. I really want to get back to a cup final. Thomas Frank is our manager. We will back him all the way. But Mir is right also. You are right to criticize. If I do a job, if I do a show on my channel, and I do something wrong, my subscribers have every right to criticize me or say to me, Dermo, that wasn't great. How about doing something different? Everyone has a right to criticize in your job, in your home life, managing a football club, either in the Premier League or in the Conference League. Everyone's up for criticism. It's how you take that criticism and how you either build in it or how you either take it on board. Yes, Thomas, we've got an injury crisis coming out of our ears. We've got 10 or 12 players out. So we had to play who we played last night. But I was stating on Monday, we should have played Vicario. We should not have played Kingskeep, because it would bring disruption to the defence because of communication and because of the way that the defence is so used to playing with Vicario. We got it wrong. He got it wrong.
And I do want
to... we got knocked out? Yes, I am devastated. But just to say, it's only a Mickey Mouse, plenty of respect to you, Ryan, but just because it's a Mickey Mouse Cup, it doesn't matter. The hell it does matter.
And then I just want to say something quickly as well. Like, the thing is, I'm okay with the way he's set up. Like, one of my biggest fears was he can't go as deep as he did against Monaco. We have to go and get pressure on the ball. And we done that. In theory, the tactics, the sort of setup,
we played okay.
Was right. It gave us a chance to go and compete. But where my problem is just the personnel. As a manager, you also have to know your team. You have to know what players you can and you can't rely on. So if you're throwing players out there you can't trust or you don't trust, then effectively you're saying, I don't care about this game. That's effectively what you're saying by putting players out there at the end of the day. Like I said, I don't want to sit here and make Frank all the problems of Tottenham Hotspur, because he's not. And I've said many times, you can change him, to a degree. You're probably going to see, if Richarlison and Johnson ever play again for Tottenham Hotspur, the same shit when they're up front. There's not a lot a manager can do there. But I think everyone goes, the squad isn't good enough, but people forget. We've had a Paulinho that other managers haven't had the privilege of. We've had a Kudos, which other managers haven't had the privilege of. We've had added Moani, which other managers haven't had the privilege of. And we've also added Xavi Simons. Now, I think there's also fair questions to say, is he getting the best out of some of them options in terms of Xavi Simons and stuff like that? He keeps switching around left, middle. Sometimes he drops him out of the lineup and stuff like that. So we can sit here and say, the squad isn't deep enough, but it's deeper than what it was last year.
I think the frustrating bit is that I thought we did play okay, and the difference maker could have been if a Moani were to have started that game, or a Kudos, whatever combination you would have gone for, or Vicario.
It might not have made a difference, but it would have given us a better chance.
Yeah, well,
but that was exactly my point, Jack. Is that Moani could have done? He might have been. I think he would have been better because Richarlison wasn't in the right place at the right time. He kept missing. You don't know. Moani might have. It would have been giving us personally, for me, a better chance. Like, that's what it's about, giving us our best chance. And Moani starting, there was no reason in my eyes for him not to start, because he hasn't been playing. He needs to get his fitness up, so he needs time. So I don't understand why we wouldn't have played him. Like, it's just
that's a two-edged sword, isn't it? It's a two-edged sword. He hasn't been playing, so he needs minutes, absolutely, to get match fit. But also, he hasn't been playing, so his reintroduction needs to be managed. You know, he's played what 20 minutes, 60 minutes.
But if he's that concerned about getting him up to speed, why did they organise a friendly over the international break for him to play in then? It makes no sense that he dropped them last night, because they organised friendlies over the international break, especially one behind closed doors, for this guy to get minutes into his legs to get him up to speed. So the Moani Kudos one, I understand he's played every game, right? I don't agree with it, but I can sort of understand it to a degree. But the Moani one, there is no excuses. If he's telling me he can't play yesterday, well, then don't go and organise a friendly for him to play in over the international break then, because then he could have played yesterday then.
Look,
the international break that was over 2 weeks ago.
Well, everyone's saying he can't play all these games, so then don't add an extra one into his legs then.
I'm just saying, yeah, but that was like 2 weeks ago, mate. I mean, we're talking about now. He's played 20 minutes, 60 minutes, and people are saying he has to start against Newcastle, otherwise we're screwed.
But he was good enough to start against Everton, though, Rain.
Well, yeah, but that's my point. My point is he started against Everton, he played 60 minutes, and now people want him to start again three days later against Newcastle. Maybe Frank's looking at it and thinking, maybe, we don't know, right? We don't know. Maybe there's training data that, you know, he needs a bit more recovery time. Recovery is really, really important when you're working out, when you're coming back from injury. So maybe he needs more recovery time to get up to speed. It's a dual-edged thing. I think that there's a lot of Frank should have done this without us knowing the full facts, and I don't think Frank did much wrong. What Frank's done wrong is not had the squad available to not play the best players.
I think me personally, I just don't think Kolo Muani has looked like needing of like fitness or recovery. Like, he looked brilliant when he came on. He looked like he was full of energy. He looked fine. And then also against Everton, he was pulled off early, which is understandable. We were leading in the game, but he looked like he was capable of playing 90 minutes. He didn't look like he was puffing. If anything, he looked almost frustrated to be taken off against Everton. But that's just my take on things of how he looks physically to me at the minute. He looks like he could have played 60. He looks like he could have played 60 minutes versus Newcastle.
But he was good enough to bring off the bench, though. So clearly he was fit enough to give something to the game. So why couldn't he have started?
Yeah.
Look, half of the big teams are out.
No one can answer me, no?
Well, I was actually wanting to get back to Domo because he asked if I could reply. Afterwards. Look, Domo, with all due respect, man, I love you, man. You know I do, right? But I don't agree with you then turning around and saying, well, I'm not a fan if I'm not happy that we didn't win the Europa League. Well, there's two reasons why, right, Dermo? And I think we all know what one of the reasons are. And obviously, for anyone that doesn't know what my reasons are, it's because it was Ange Postecoglou who won the trophy, right? Didn't like him. And then the second one is, right, is that when we say that that's the second biggest European cup, yeah, it might be, but to me, that's a Mickey Mouse Cup. And I'm sorry, but that doesn't make me any less of a fan than you do, man.
Hang on, the Europa League is a Mickey Mouse Cup.
To me, yeah. The Champions League's the big cup.
I am sorry. I've been a Tottenham fan. Hang on a minute. I've been a Tottenham fan for over 40 years. I've seen this in my lifetime win 2 European trophies. Nothing is bigger than winning a European trophy. Do you know? You can be the harshest of Ange's, but you could be the harshest of Ange's critics. Right? You could not like the guy. You don't want to matter at the club. But damn sure you were celebrating that night in Bilbao when Sonny was lifting that trophy. I was bawling my eyes out. I'm nearly 50. Hang on, Ryan, let me finish. I'm a man of nearly 50 years of age. And I've seen us win plenty of stuff in the 80s. That is like, it's like me saying, oh, Glenn Hodder was just an ordinary player. Or Ozzy Idealist was just a crap player. Or, you know, I've seen crap managers in my life. Christian Gross, Jerry Francis, really bad stuff in the 90s. Rayman will even agree with me, probably Mia as well. There were some bad times. Yeah, you may not like the manager, But one thing that comes before anything, managers may go, players may go. We, the fans, are the club. We're Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, not the players, not the managers, not the staff that work there. We, the fans. We, the fans, wear the cockerel. We'll go around supporting Tottenham day in, day out, following them all around the country. And yeah, I will call you. How can you be a fan when you don't celebrate the highs? You go with the lows and you celebrate the highs as a football club. I'm sorry, right? No, you do not call the second major European trophy you can win in Europe, apart from the Champions League, a Mickey Mouse Cup. I'm sorry. That is the most... And I like you, Ryan. I've got much respect for you. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard anyone say in my life.
Well, just simply put, though, I mean, the 200,000 people at the parade completely disagree with him. I mean, I was there, so I think, in general, Ryan's isolated on that one.
Yeah. And
I don't think I am, Dave, because there was someone in the comments that actually agreed with me.
Okay, I think you care more about Ange, hating Ange, than you do about the cup, which is pretty baffling that someone is rattled to, that
I mean, one person in the chat compared to all the thousands of people that were there, and I was there as well, obviously. And big up to Ellie as well, because I met Ellie when I was there, and Dave. But yeah, all those people I think might slightly disagree with you. So one person in the chat, I would say, is probably not the best argument to say.
At the end of the day, Ryan,
this turns a bit toxic, so I'm going to bounce out because I've got my own show to do. I didn't want to pop in and show my face for 5 minutes. I apologise if I've created carnage. That was not my intention.
I don't think you have.
You're fine, Germatron. Have fun on your show.
At the end of the day, Ryan, that little trophy when people look at trophies that have been won, it's against the cockerel, not against Ange. That's what we see. FA Cups. Division championships, English championships, League Cups, and European Cups are against that little cockerel.
They weren't carving Ange Postecoglou into the trophy. They were carving Tottenham Hotspur into the trophy. After
don't also forget, Rayman, the non-league trophy. We won the FA Cup as a non-league side as well. No other team's done that. No other team will do that. Hang on, can I hear something? Hang on. Bill Nick is turning in his grave at the moment. So I've got to go off and apologise to Bill Nick. Right, I'll speak to you later, guys. See you later.
Do we have any? I think we mostly covered the sort of team selection thing. I don't know. Maybe we don't have to talk about it, but there is a bit of discussion about him prioritizing the Chelsea game over the League Cup game. Does anyone have any comments on that, or should we move on?
On that, just back Kinski though.
On that, Jack. So especially if you look at the competition, half of the big teams are out, right? And Newcastle also rotated, so they were there for the taking. So if you just look at the probability of us winning anything, it's this cup, right? Liverpool is out, Man U is out. Who else is out?
Yeah, we would be playing Fulham next.
So it's just Chelsea's left, right? And that's pretty much it. So
I think Arsenal and Chelsea.
Arsenal, yeah, of course. Arsenal and Chelsea. So half the big teams are out. So if you just look at the number of games to win a trophy compared to FA Cup, for example, this one is the shortest route to a trophy. So
that's why I like the League Cup, because it's kind of, it doesn't come at you consecutively. It just happens every now and again, and you just put in a strong team and you can find yourself in a semifinal very easily.
And somebody said in the comments, people who call a trophy a Mickey Mouse Cup or this or that are the fans of the team that never wins, right? The club that wins trophies, they don't disrespect cups. Liverpool fans might be say, you know what, we're okay if we don't win this, or Man U fans, but they have a lot of cups in the cabinet. But even they respect the cups. Yeah. But as Mia said, or as Dermot said, with us, couple of trophies in the last 40 years, and we're disrespecting Cubs. To me, that's mental. It's mad.
Yeah,
I know Chelsea's our rival. I know Arsenal is our rival. We want to beat those teams, but again, we would feel good for a day, for a week. But there is no parade for beating Chelsea. Rhino, there is no parade for finishing top 5 or top 6. Right? I'm not going to see on the street with signs want to finish top 6. So all that, for banter, it's all good. you know me, I'm all here for banter, beating Chelsea and Arsenal and doing it's great. But ultimately, we are fans because we want to win. And
yeah.
disrespecting the
agree
cups
with
is
you on
mad.
that League Cup situation, though, Eugene, man.
Eugene,
The FA Cup is bigger. The FA Cup is a lot bigger, and I would rather win that, right, than anything else.
Yeah, look, right.
Dermot, was it one or the other? They're completely different things. We're not. FA Cup is not starting in a long time.
That's why.
Look, I get it, right?
I think you're on mute there, Ryan.
Look, some cups are bigger than others, right? I get that. But the reality is, and I think the point Eugene's trying to make is, the clubs that are consistently winning, they don't make excuses for what size of the cup is or what revenue they get out of it. They see it as a chance to be successful and put their name on the pedestal, and they go for it. They don't pick and choose cups, and they don't prioritize this, that, and the other. But I think one thing that I've sort of seen over the last maybe 24 hours is, like, for instance, you see someone like me, okay, maybe I was a bit harsh on the Kudos one, but I stand by the Mawani point. But you still got people defending the loss today, defending Frank with their lives, and there's no fairness with it. There's no one really going, do you know what? Yeah, okay, fair enough. Maybe you have a point around Mawani, or maybe you have a point around Kinski and stuff like that. All you're seeing is just people staunching their opinion. Yet someone like me, who wasn't Frank's biggest fan in the first place with him coming in here, I had questions. But even then, I can still sit here and go, do you know what? I take your point on Mohamed Kudus in reflection and stuff, but I don't see that happening the other way around. And I think we're seeing another sort of situation develop like we were in with previous managers, with Ange Postecoglou, with Jose Mourinho, with Conte, where you just got people that will back them to the hill to never call them out for things that they've done wrong.
I just agree with Jason Bell's comment that I hate the fact that we're talking about Chelsea match like it's a cup final. We ridicule West Ham fans for treating us like that. I kind of agree. I think that's a bit of a West Ham thing to do, to look at one game against Chelsea is more important than the league. But let's move on. Looks like Rain Man, rightfully so, wants to start talking about some of the actual individual performances, and he wants to get started off with Kinski. I mean, did we more lose, Rain Man, down to Kinski's errors, or maybe down to Johnson and Richarlison? I kind of had that as a question. Whose fault was it more, maybe, for the loss?
Well, I mean, the Richarlison walking past that cross and not getting anywhere near even trying to get a shot on goal was absolutely just so frustrating. I'm looking at Richarlison and I'm wondering if the guy's already in self-preservation mode for the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? I've had it with Richarlison. I've been joking about. I've gone on Richarlison. I wanted to talk about Kinski. Gone on Richarlison rant. I've been joking about Scarlett. I'm only half joking. I cannot understand. I cannot fathom that Scarlett could be any worse. I just cannot. Surely Scarlett. And if actually, I would say, like, one thing that I would, Dave, I'm so on this. I so love this. I think not giving Ulasesi and Scarlett a 15-minute run out yesterday. I think that's something that I didn't like that Ange didn't do. And that's something that I don't like that Frank isn't doing, because I still see, young players coming on and giving 10, 15-minute bursts as a really sort of valuable part of our squad. But Kinski, 2 or 3 weeks ago, people were saying Kinski needs to be given a chance in the team, and Kinski for me is yet another transfer mistake where we bought squad depth from the bottom. I say the way I say it is we buy it from the bottom. We buy a player who's not yet good enough, who might develop. But goalkeepers, if you go and have a look, the goalkeepers for so long, the second choice goalkeeper in top teams has been an older guy who's, forgive me, like Forster, right? I know, bit of a tree, but an older guy who has been there, done it, and now isn't probably capable of playing every single game, but he is capable of providing backup and so on. Probably doesn't want to be necessarily, you know, a number one. Yet we bought this kid who is not ready, and I suspect Frank's played him because it's a cup game and he's given him some promises that he's going to get some minutes. But yet again, it's this transfer approach of buying young, promising players who we're going to develop, and we suffer for it. It was really, really clear. You know, Dave said on the watch along, I'm absolutely convinced that Vicario would have saved that. You know, and I'm absolutely convinced that Vicario would have saved it. I think that over the last, I think Vicario's had a bit of a bad rep, if I'm brutally honest. I'm still in the place that I think the two Brighton goals, you know, one was a one-on-one in the, it's an 80-20, 80% of the time the striker should be scoring it. And the other Brighton goal, Vicario just took one step to the right. The guy then shot, and Vicario was just misplaced. And the Leeds goal, I think if you look back at the Leeds goal, the more I look at it, the more I think that actually it was a world-class save from Vicario. It took a double deflection, and he still managed to palm it out.
Yeah,
palm it out to head toward the corner flag. It wasn't then in Vicario's gift that there was a Leeds player who was unmarked. Yeah, that was unmarked. Vicario should have had some help from his buddies, from his teammates, who then could put the ball in the back of the net. A lot of keepers are not even saving that. I'm absolutely convinced. And then obviously Vicario has had a couple of games where he's produced some like save after save after save. I just think that was a continuation from where he was before. Kinski, I don't get it. Why did we buy Kinski?
Yeah, I think it was a panic buy, to be honest, because of the poor squad planning from the previous season where Forster was done. Like, he needed to be moved on, but they didn't. And then when Forster was given a run of games, he was so awful that they just realized, yeah, we need someone in straight away. But then Josh Keeley was already put out on loan. Keeley probably didn't want to come back just for a short period. He was enjoying his time at Leyton Orient. And I think we just got the whole development of that all wrong. And to your point about there being an older keeper, I think just most teams in the top six seem to have like an experienced keeper as sort of the backup. It's either like a Ramsdale in Newcastle's case. In Arsenal's, I think it's like Kepa. I know plenty of people don't rate Kepa, but he had a good season with Bournemouth, experienced goalkeeper. Liverpool brought in Mamardashvili as like the backup goalkeeper. It's always like someone that has relatively high experience, whereas Kinski was playing in the Czech league and only like a season or two in the Czech league. Really, like the guy needed plenty more years before he could be rolled out in games like this. But to be fair, people wanted Kinski to be given a shot. That was his shot, and I think he, to be honest, ruined it. Really.
Can we just?
Now, can I tell you something?
Can we
I actually can't believe. Did you want to go, me, and then I go, or?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah. What I was gonna say is, should we just roll it back a little while when everybody was criticising Vic, and my words before I had to go were, I think that Vic's getting a lot of criticism when actually he does these saves that people like don't realise how important they are to save us in games. And I said that to everybody, and I said, don't be criticising him a bit too much because people want Kinski in and they might well regret it. And there we go. The answers were answered, weren't they? Because his positioning, I think, for both of the goals were pretty poor. And especially that second goal, what the flipping hell was he doing? Like, what was he doing? And I know that Vic does have those brain fart moments and kicking out, and when we're playing out from the back, I think actually Kinski gives me a bit more confidence than what Vic does. Vic definitely gives me that vibe. I'm like, just kick it out, will you? Like, I get a bit panicky with him, but he does save us in so many other ways, Vic.
Totally
like,
agree.
I think for this year, I agree with you. I think, he's undoubtedly number one, and I think it's very clear that Kinski ain't ready. Shot stopping was called into question last night, was also why he was, in my opinion, why he was took out of the team, once Vicario returned last season. But I still think at the end of the season, there's still a huge question mark around, should we bring in someone that's better than Kinski? I still think that's still, or is better than Vicario. Sorry, I still think that question sort of stands because, look, you know, we can berate Kinski all we want for that second goal. Vicario's made tons of errors like that, you know, at Tottenham. One against Forest stands out, you know, coming out, Chris would end up beating them, you know, and I still think there's a lot of questions that surround Vicario's game in general. Like, don't get me wrong, he's had 2 fantastic games. I mean, the Monaco game, I really like Vicario, by the way, as a person and stuff like that. And I was buzzing to see him sort of get back and show how influential he can be. You know, and against Everton, he made crucial saves at crucial times, you know, to stop Everton maybe building a bit of momentum and trying to get back in the game. But it's only been sort of a couple of good games, you know what I mean? Let's not get carried away when it comes to Vicario. He's still got a long way to prove that, you know, he is the right fit long-term going forward if we do want to go and compete and stuff like that. But I do take the point that, you know, for this season alone, I think it's undoubtedly he's got to be our number one.
And let's also take Sean's super chat here because I think he has been waiting. Was the cup deprioritized? Yes. But do I have to be upset? No. Bigger problem is the squad depth.
Equally.
I don't think we need to tell you how to feel, Sean. I just think that's the divide, and that's the essence of it. Some people don't care as much about this cup, other people do, and I think that's just where that's just how it is. I don't think one is right or the other is wrong. I just think that's how it is.
Equally, I mean, like to Sean's point, you know, you don't have to be upset, but I can be upset if I want as well at the end of the day. You know, you're entitled to how you feel. At the end of the day, you know, people say, Dave, you're emotional, this, that, and the other. Football's an emotional game. That's why people go and watch games, for the emotion of it, for the highs, for the lows, stuff like that. At the end of the day, you're going to feel win or lose, you know, emotions. That's what it is about at the end of the day. That's what football evokes. You don't have to be, you know, upset about it, but I can if I want. You know, it just comes down to I wanted to win the cup. You didn't really prioritize the cup, and that's what it comes down to. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm right, you know, but at the end of the day, that's it. Like, you know, you can sit here and say you don't have to be upset, maybe as a slight jibe or something like that. But the reality is you don't have to be, but I can be if I want. Just quickly. There was one more comment I wanted to take, and I just wanted to address this as well. Big up Jamal Duncan, by the way. Good to see you in the building. And I did leave you a comment under our latest video, by the way. You know, sort of being very, very nice, you know, back and forth with you on that one. But he says, how do you attract better players without constantly finishing inside the top 4? Get better players with the Champions League that you can rotate the squad in these cup games, not fall off a cliff. Granted, I think that's a fair point. And, you know, I see all the people that are sort of maybe excusing the changes last night, nodding their heads along to this. But what you guys failed to realize, let me finish. What you guys failed to realize is we're not in the Europa League, or we're not in Champions League because we finished top 4 last season. We're in the Champions League because we won a cup last season. That's why we're in Europe. When was the last time we finished top 4 here? So everyone's saying that we have to prioritize the league and go and finish top 4. You know, you're saying the cup shouldn't be prioritized, this, that, and the other, which I fully understand. But in the same breath, you're acting like top 4 is a given. When was the last time we finished inside the top 4?
Yeah, I'm coming.
Sorry.
Sorry, just, and to that point, we finished in top 4 multiple times in the past decade. What has that done for us? Just finishing top 4 by itself doesn't mean anything. We haven't attracted or gotten any top players anyways. So by itself, yes, we can do it potentially, but just looking at the history, just finishing top 4 by itself, it's not, and you know, it's not everything.
But do you know what though? I will actually, for the first time tonight, I'm actually going to agree with everyone on the panel about Kinski, right? Flaming hell, I mean, the world must be turning around the other way, Dave, if I'm agreeing with everyone tonight about Kinski. Look,
I think I need to change my opinion then.
Because like literally, yeah, right, Dave. Right, 7 days ago, I was calling for Kinski to come in, right? And I can turn around and I can say I was totally wrong. And do you know why I can turn around and say that? Because it's better the devil you know now than the devil you don't, right? People are going on saying, oh yeah, because of what happened with Kinski when he first came in for his debut last season. Now the problem is, right? I can't say he was falling off of a cliff then, because he only had one kind of game that really to show what he could do. What did annoy me, what has annoyed me is that when Vicario did come back, he got his spot back straight away. Now I think that was a bit unfair on him. But now, right, where I will agree with everybody is is where I turn around and say, right, he can't stay here. He has got to go. If he stays, he's gonna just get worse. He was poor yesterday. I would rather sit there, right, and watch Vicario in goal yesterday any day of the week over Kinski. And from now on, right, I don't want to see Kinski in goal ever again. I'd rather see the young American kid. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Brandon Austin, I think it is.
Austin,
yeah.
He's English,
I'd rather see Austin.
He's English. He's not American.
Vicario nowadays. I really would. And that's probably the only time I'm going to agree with her. And I even agree with Mia when she said that, where she turned around and said, yeah, okay, people that were calling for Vicario to come out, right? After yesterday's performance, I kind of agree. Be careful what you wish for, guys, because it could be a bumpy ride if Vicario gets injured.
Does anyone is there anyone? A quick question for people on the panel. Does anyone on the panel think that Kinski won't be at Tottenham Hotspur in the next in 2 years' time? In 2027, does anyone on the panel think that Kinski won't still be at the club? Because I look at it, I look at our squad, and I look at our complete inability to sell players, and I think I think Kinski will still be at the club in 2027.
He'll be here. He'll got him for long term. He'll be here. He'll improve as well. For a keeper, he's still young. I mean, keepers are in their prime at 27, so I feel like the bottom for the future. So I think he has potential. He's not good enough for now, but he's got potential. So I think.
But the way he's doing his hair, he might be the new Alfie Whiteman. You know, of the team. He seems to be.
He can only hope.
DJ, the team, or wannabe. Jerome, you've just joined us. We've kind of moved on to some of the individual performances. Richarlison, Johnson, they got heavy criticism last night. Kinski as well. So if you want to comment on any of those.
Look, what's there to say? It's like there's nothing much to say. It's like I'm pretty sure Eugene has said everything what I was going to say anyway, because it's just not individual performances for me. It's the whole performance as a team. It's not there. It's 100% not there. Something is definitely not clicking. To just scapegoating one player or the other, yeah, that's all right. I know Johnson is useless. There's no point of discussing this. Richarlison, not good enough now. Done. But as a whole, this team is not clicking. I know we're going to say, but we won at Everton 3-0. Yes, good win. But if you look at the whole, at the second half of this, Everton was all of us. All of us. It was just them. If it wasn't for Vicario, who wasn't on point, we were back in that game easily. It could have been a draw easily. But we just glaze over it and just say, oh, we won at Everton 3-0. Clean sheet. But the clean sheet was thanks to our goalkeeper being on point again, one more time. So we can't be going and saying, oh, but we were defensively sound, we were this and that. No, we were not. And Everton was all of us. We were set pieces and one goal on open play. That's about it. So there is something definitely not right with this team as a whole. And I pretty much sent you last time a picture in the chat. There was a massive gap in that Monaco game. There was a massive gap in that midfield. And it was just seeing Xavi on his own, just at the front. And they're all staying at the back. And there's a massive gap in the midfield. I don't know if we've been told to play this way, or we've been said, or it's instructions, or just the players that don't understand how to play the setup with Frank. But there's definitely something not right. And now moving forward.
Oh no, go on. I was going to say. I was going to say. I think it's the latter there, Jerome. I think it's the players doing whatever they want, mate. I think, and it's not good enough. They need to be listening and taking it on board. I can't believe I'm even saying this because me and you, we don't ever see eye to eye on Tottenham, and it's the same with me and Eugene. But I think it's the latter on this one. I think the players are doing what they would doing under Ange, playing for themselves, and they shouldn't be doing it.
But it's easy to say it's always the players. It's easy to say that, but I can't just say that this time. The last time we could have said, yeah, they are just playing for themselves and not listening to Ange or things like that. It's fine, fair enough. But right now, we have a coach, right? We have a proper coach. We have a tactician right now. We should be listening to him. We shouldn't be just doing what they want to do, right? So we can't just be saying it's the players. It has to be both ways as well. It has to be some kind of instruction we've been given to play this way. We said, don't lose at any cost. That's fine. But at the same time, we are just literally sacrificing the game, the performance of how we're playing, to just saying that, oh, we need to be defensively sound and just play a certain way and just score a goal on set pieces. So does that mean we're trying to just give away the football? I guess it's the way it is now, because Arsenal does it, we do it, Brentford, whichever team you want to think about it, they all just go on set pieces now. The game is dying. It's literally not football.
Can I just ask you then, because you said name any team, yeah, right? So can I name you another team then that isn't in the Premier League, that's on the foreign shores? What about the teams like Barcelona or Real Madrid?
What about Barcelona and Real Madrid? So you just got to tell me. We're just talking. Right now, we're talking about. No, we're not talking about La Liga. I'm talking about the Premier League right now. And the team that's currently on top plays the same way as we play. Set pieces, not much goal through open play. It's just corners, set pieces, and things like that. We play the same way as well. Okay? So pretty much we're sacrificing the football, the actual performance on the pitch, for just focusing on set pieces, corners, and try to score on there. And the rest is just defense, and just forget everything else. So at the same time, I can't blame the players to say the players are not good enough. The front line is not good enough. But at the same time, I'm thinking as well, it must be instructions as well to pretty much restrict them from doing things, to even allow them to express themselves at the front. Because Xavi right now is extremely disappointing. From the player that I saw in the Bundesliga to now here, this is a different person. This person is, I don't even recognize who we got. We spent 60 million down the drain for somebody who can't even do anything right for the moment. He is useless. As useless as Johnson, as useless as Richarlison. So there's something really wrong happening right now. So from my perspective, it's not just the players. It has to be something to do with the instructions they've been given. But again, nobody's going to say this, because after what we went with Ange, we want things to work with Frank. We want it to work at any cost. And I'm hearing we need to give him time. We need to give him this. He's learning. He hasn't learned anything about his players yet. It's been 13 games. He had pre-seasons. He had everything that he needed. And we're still saying he needs time. He needs to learn his best players. He needs to know this. He needs to know that. I'm sorry, but he has plenty of time to know who is his best 11.
I don't think that's a fact. I don't think he has had plenty of time. I don't think
he had plenty of time. He had pre-season. He had 13 games. You know who shouldn't be playing. You know who shouldn't be on the pitch. And you know who's not giving their 100%. If you're telling me you're putting Johnson again on that pitch, you're still having Richarlison playing on that pitch, and you know they cannot give you 100%. Why? Why are they on the pitch then? Why are they starting?
I don't think 13 games is plenty of time, and especially when you're playing 2 games a week, and especially when the squad really isn't good enough. You know, he had to play Palhinha at centre back, and
that's the club's fault. They sent out Vuskovic on loan. Why? They let Duskovic go on loan. Why? He would have been perfect to be in this squad. If we are like having issues like this, Duskovic would have been perfect. Look at this kid in the Bundesliga right now. He's killing it. I mean, like, why did we send him on loan? That's the club's fault. That's not Frank. But that's the club's fault. That's not Frank's fault. That's the club's fault. That's they sent Duskovic on loan. And now that we're having issues, he has to put Paulinho at the back. So that's one I say is on the club. I'm not on Frank.
Let's let Rainman come in, and then Mia only has 5 minutes left, so we'll let her go after that.
I don't think Frank's had enough time. I don't think after 13 games You know, and the record that he's got in terms of results isn't actually that bad. It's okay, performances questionable.
No, I'm not talking about the results. Right.
Wait a minute, mate.
Yeah, let him finish.
I don't think performances across the whole of the Premier League is actually, you know, that tip top right now. Right? It's very, very reflective of the general sentiment. I think Frank needs more time, but I think actually what he really, really needs is better players.
I think there's a point. I wouldn't rule out what Jerome has to say. Look, I am of the opinion, and I have been for quite some time, Richarlison and Johnson aren't anywhere near the level. Matisse Tell isn't anywhere near the level. Wilson Odegaard isn't anywhere near the level. But what I will say is, what Jerome is trying to say is, like, I think, if I'm correct here, Jerome, that you're trying to say basically that the attacking problems, yeah, you sort of feel for Frank that some of the attacking options aren't of the right quality, but you also feel like maybe some of his instructions isn't getting the best out of us going forward. If that's what I think you're trying to get at, it is something that I'm going to look at moving forward, because to your point, you know, we can sit here and say he doesn't have great options. He's had more options than what previous managers had to deal with. We brought Koulibaly into that front line. We have brought Xavi Simons into that front line. Okay, with Mawani, he's been out for a large part of the season, so that one we'll wait and see. You know, and I think that is something that people miss when they speak about the quality in the front line. Although, you know, I do feel for him in terms of a lot of the options he has had more to select with and more players to improve it than maybe what Ange Postecoglou had. So that is, I'm not going to dismiss it. It's something that I'm going to look at moving forward and see if I can see what you're saying. There is a video that I got saved later that someone done on Thomas Frank and his instructions and stuff like that, which I will go and watch and have a few of and see, you know, if I sort of agree or not. But interesting theory there, Jerome.
Oh. Yeah, but the thing is, like, I'm not talking about the performance. With the performance, about the results. The results are there. We are third in the league and things like that. It's okay. It's fine. But I'm talking about the performance, because what we're going to go through this November is going to tell us exactly where we are as a team. Because so far, we can say it clearly, apart from Man City, we had an easy run. Right now, it's not going to be an easy run at all. We're going to have a difficult run this whole November. That's going to be a very long November. And if you are playing this way, like Dave told you, it's going to be a dogfight. The whole of November is going to be a dogfight if things doesn't improve in the long run, because this is going to be, we can be third in the league and dropping like a rock really fast coming this November. Because remember, this weekend is Chelsea. After that, we Man United. After that, Liverpool, and after that, Arsenal. We don't forget about the Champions League for the moment. Champions League is a different thing because it's PSG and then Copenhagen. So that's a different thing. But right now, I'm talking about the league, because everybody keeps telling me the bread and butter is the league, right? So right now, we got a really hard fixture coming to us. And if we're playing the way we're playing right now, it's going to be a very long November. November.
What I will say is I do think we're getting into the realm of maybe, you know, the people for Ange and people not for Ange again, because although, yeah, in general, as a bite-sized sample, you look at it and go, yeah, fair enough, you know, we've been decent, we've been competitive, right? But I think to what, like you, Eugene and Jerome, were maybe trying to say before the international break, what wasn't really popular to hear is we have bigger games coming up. You know, are we still going to be in and around, you know, once these big games are over? And when you look since the international break has happened, we've won 1 in our last 4. And that's something no one's talking about. And I think that is something that people do need to pay attention to, that these better teams are beating us. So and to what Eugene and Jerome were trying to preach before the international break, how sustainable is the way we're playing? Now, look, I'm of the opinion we're shit going forward. We have been for quite some time. It's going to take more money to fix the problem, regardless of the manager. So I sort of understand that every game is going to be a dogfight, and we're going to struggle to break down the better teams with better defenses. But as long as I see us competing, I can walk away and go, do you know what? Okay, I'm not happy with the defeats and stuff like that, but at least we're more competitive in these games than what we have been in years gone by. But I do think something to take note of moving forward is 1 win in our last 4. Is that good enough?
Now, Mia, I think needs to go. So, any final words from you, Mia?
Yeah, I probably would say that I am disappointed with the game because I think that it's important for us to go as far as possible in those 2 cups because I think they're winnable cups in a way because they're cups that are obtainable, basically. Like the Premier League and the Champions League, I think is so far out of our reach that they don't concern me in that way. But I'm, of course, going to say that Frank needs time. He needs players back. When we get maybe players back, we'll have more availability of players. We can rest players. There's going to be more options as well. So, of course, I'm not overly criticising and saying Frank out, despite what people might kind of perceive it as. It's not like that. Just because we criticise, it isn't just me piling on pressure and saying I want Frank out. And I do understand that managers need time, but I've always said this, that a manager needs to be here long term to get things settled and right. So I was always of that opinion, apart from probably with Conte because he wanted to go. I think that really we keep chopping, changing, and that ain't no good. So I'm not sitting here saying I want Frank out, but I want him to improve because us going forward has looked poor. We've looked so poor going forward. Like even patterns of play, like you can't, like actually in that game, we actually did do some great like little patterns of play and moves. So that was actually a slight improvement, which I like to see because I want to see more of that because I think that just shows that he's now working on that, and that's what we do need to work on. He worked on the defence, and I understand that, but I do think we do need to improve our patterns of play going forward because otherwise it is just atrocious to watch. Atrocious.
And we're agree with that, Lee, and I think Jack made a point, and he's made it a couple of times, and I don't think many people have sort of took notice of it, to be fair, and I think they should have, is Jose, Nuno, Conte, they didn't survive too long. You know, with their brand of football when it wasn't putting points on the board. Spurs fans would get restless very, very quickly. And that's why I do think it is important long term or, you know, even in the short term that Frank does show signs of improvement in terms of patterns of play and moving forward because we've got bigger games coming up. We've got Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, Newcastle away again. Traditionally games we don't usually do too well in. And these are all league games. You slide down that league, you're not cutting teams open. All of a sudden, fans' patience will sort of wane. So I do think it is something that Frank needs to get to grips with very, very quickly for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%, especially at home. I think at home more so because the patience of fans at home is wearing very thin, I think. And I did say that when he came in, I said, listen, he can't be playing that at home, that defensive football, because people are going to lose patience. And I said that, and that was one of my reservations about Frank when the way that he plays. But anyway, I have to go. Yeah, it's been lovely chatting to you all.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Mia, for being with us. Appreciate you. Thanks for putting on a
I'll
brave
speak
face.
to you all soon.
Much love, Mia. All
right, see you later. Bye.
I think we'll wrap up on one last question here, and then we'll get on out of here. Thank you guys for being here with us. It's just the injury list. I know Rain Man has his theories on this one, but it's actually, I think Dave confirmed it to me. I mean, maybe it's true, but I think it's as long as Ange Postecoglou's injury list, if not longer. How do we think Frank is dealing with it? Is he making the best of it? Is it Ange that's still to blame? Is it someone else that's to blame? Like, what's the whole situation behind the injury list? Maybe that we can finish up on that.
Yeah, I'll just go quickly on that. Look, I want to say, I like the fact that Frank isn't out there throwing it around as an excuse for dropping points. I think maybe previous managers have done. I like the fact that Frank isn't doing that. I like the fact that he's just sort of getting on with the task in hand and stuff like that. But what I will say is, anyone that blamed Ange Postecoglou for the injuries last season because of his style of play and how aggressive it was is sitting there with egg on their face this season. And I don't need to say any more than that. And I sort of tried to say last year, I get everybody hates the guy, but putting everything on him and making him take sole responsibility for everything that's happened at the football club was dumb. And I think, you know, you're looking at it this year, Frank has more injuries. I think it's 1 or 2 more than what Postecoglou had at this time, you know, in his first season and stuff like that. You know, so I think people are looking silly. And I think the fact that Spurs brought in someone over 2 weeks ago to oversee the whole medical department and everything else sort of alludes to that there is problems internally, which I did try to highlight last season, by the way, amongst it all. And people told me I was talking rubbish and stuff like that. So, you know, on that, yeah, I just think people are looking silly blaming him for it, because Thomas Frank isn't playing as an aggressive style or as a demanding style. Injuries are still piling up.
Yeah. Yeah. And so early on, too, into the season. Like, we're not even close to halfway there yet. Anybody have any big thoughts on the injury list?
The biggest concern, well, firstly, I think I can't agree with Dave anymore. Then you know, I make Dave 100% right. Anyone who was going off after Ange, you know, needs to apply some thoughts. But the biggest concern is players who get injured and then we never see them again. When Kuti went, you know, didn't appear with a knock, I instantly went on my little WhatsApp group and I was like, we ain't seeing him before March. And I see no evidence to the contrary, right? You know, this is the problem. The problem is not that we don't. No, wait a minute. Isn't there something? Musiala, like, literally had his legs snapped in two, right? After Solanke had his little knock, right? His knee, it was a niggle, right? His ankle niggle or whatever it was called. And Musiala is now back on the pitch, and we haven't seen Solanke. So
he had a bone protruding from his leg, Musiala, and then they took 3 months to decide. They took 3 months to decide whether Solanke needed a minor surgery on his ankle or not. You know, this is what we're dealing with. It's like I don't know. It's like they were procrastinating or something. Like, I just don't even understand it. Sorry, Randy.
We have a major issue with that.
It doesn't make any sense. You know, we don't deal with it properly. We don't deal with transfers properly. We don't deal with injuries properly. It's any wonder we're still in the bloody Premier League, if I'm brutally honest, right? It's only because we spend so much money, right, that we're still in the Premier League, because we don't manage things properly.
Yeah.
I think that's spot on.
It's all the backroom stuff. That's the major issue as well. Because if you look at this properly, it's like to hear players going and saying, "Oh, they thank their international medical team to making sure that they come back up, like, in shape again." There's a major issue happening in this club as well. We have pretty much our medical team is literally useless, to be honest. It's like this amount of injuries happening year after year after year, and we have no idea how to bring them back on the pitch fit. That's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a major problem happening here. It's like, come on, man. It's not possible.
Can I just add a quick theory? And I'm not saying this is the fault of any player or anything, but I did see recently, like, Erling Haaland put out this, like, he has his own YouTube channel, like James Madison does. And he was showing, like, all of the different things he does to keep his body in the way that, like, he has physios coming 2 times a day. He has, like, these red light therapy stuff, these hypo chamber stuff, all in his own house. Like, he has a full world-class gym and everything in his own house. That's combined with all the stuff that he does at Man City's, like, academy, or at Man City's training ground and everything. I do wonder, like, with how many, Sean brought this up, right? Oh, the players are playing too many games. That might be well and true, but there are guys that seemingly are able to handle that, because I think they're putting in the extra work outside of their actual job to make sure that they are in the best physical shape possible. And I just think there are certain players who don't do that. There are certain players who make $200K a month. They don't care. You know, they're just going to they're going to play Fortnite when they get home. They're going to go out to dinner, you know, do this stuff. You see Haaland, like, literally spending 3-4 hours outside of his own job he's like talking about, oh, I eat, you know, like, he's talking about, like, oh, I have this much milk a day. I have this much, you know, like, protein a day. Look at Perisic. He's playing till he's 40 years old as a winger, right? The guy, you know, counted every calorie in his body, and look at the shape that he is in. I do think a lot of it is actually just down to whether they really want to be high performance athletes. And, like, LeBron James would be an example. LeBron James has played at the level he's done because he spends millions of dollars outside of what he even does at the training gym on his own body. And I just think the Brennan Johnsons of the world, of these sort of types, not just him, but I think all these guys that have picked up maybe all these injuries here and there, maybe even Solanke as well, they're not doing that. And then that's the reason they're picking up injuries.
So I think it's a fair
argument. You don't have to look far away. Pedro Porro is a good example.
Pedro Porro clearly does it.
Yeah, he does it because he can play he's been playing every game. He doesn't stop. He's always fit. And like, it's yeah, you're right as well, Jack. It's up to those players as well. How fast can they get themselves back on the pitch? Do you actually want this? Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo. Have you ever heard of Cristiano Ronaldo getting like really bad injuries? It's really rare. It's really rare. The guy can know how to do the work after that. So it's like, at the same time, yeah, we might not have a good medical team, but it's depending on the player as well. How much do they want to be back and how much do they want to be back on the pitch? Because the Solanke one is just baffling.
Well, even Bentancur came back 3 months early or something from his own thing, because I think he said he invested so much in like trying to get back as soon as possible. Maybe that hindered him, but I do think a lot of it is the players than it is.
I think you look at our own club for an example. Pedro Porro, you don't see him on darts channels, you don't see him at the darts, you don't see him on snooker channels, stiff that and the other. Never injured. Who I do see on all these channels is James Madison. He's on darts channels on YouTube. He's on snooker channels and stuff. Always injured. So I think there is an absolute fair point, Jack. And, I think, there needs to be more on these players, that, they should be doing more outside. They should be living their life, right? At the end of the day, I've always tried to say that your career, if you're a very good player, is maximum 10 years, really.
15 years of your life.
A couple of years before that, you're sort of sitting on the sidelines, and a couple of years after that, you're sort of beyond it. But you've got a good 10-year sort of period there as a professional footballer. So anyone that goes to me, they've got to live their life. Yeah, to a certain extent, but they've plenty of time to live their life when they're retired. That's why for your football career, because them days can be over just like that, you should give absolutely everything you can to the cause why you are a player. And I've always believed that. And, that's why I don't believe in all this rotation and rest and all this. For me, if a player keeps himself at a certain level, they can handle a 50 games fixture schedule. Pedro Porro can do it. So why can't you expect other people to do it?
And these are guys, too, with totally different body types, too, right? You're looking at Harry Kane, like he's a totally different body type to Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro has a totally different body type to Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland is like Mickey van de Ven. His hamstrings are worth 60 million, alone. He's that athletic. But somehow, when I think of Haaland, hasn't had too many big injuries, in his career, despite relying on his body more than other people do. I do think it comes down to them. Granted, it is down to they played too many games, but I think there's a way around that, and that's like hyper focusing on taking care of yourself.
Well, it depends what you want out of your career, though, right? It depends whether you want to remain at the high level or whether you don't.
Yeah, I think it just goes both ways. I don't think it's totally on them to do that, but at the same time, I'm not going to blame the medical team for everything. I wonder, the medical team can only do so much. Maybe it's also about you doing your extra work outside the gym. But Eugene, you've been quiet for a while. Any final things that you want to bring up here?
No, I mean, I agree with you guys. Again, people were blaming Ange last season for marrow injuries and this and that, when we know some of our players have chronic injuries and our medical staff has been terrible for a long, long time. So unfortunately, we're in a similar situation. Hopefully we can get through it, but it's not going to be easy, especially with the run of games coming up. So let's see what happens. Again, even though I'm negative about what I'm seeing, we'll try to be optimistic. Hopefully, we'll get some results in, especially now that we're out of the cup. We have no excuses but to do well in Champions League group and try to pick up some results. But long term, I'm still not liking what I'm seeing. As I said before, when we play against big teams like Newcastle, big strong teams, we're not going to be getting set piece goals, and we need to find a way to score from open play. Porro has been disappointing for some reason. I don't know, again, why he dropped off in the attacking third, whether it's him or whether it's the tactics. He needs to step up. Simmons needs to play better. He's not doing it for me yet. So there are a lot of open questions still. Not everything is on Frank, obviously, but I'll still be asking questions if if I'm not happy with what's going on. So let's wait and see.
Look, one more thing I wanted to say as well, like especially with Eugene. Eugene has been getting a lot of flack lately. He's been called negative. He's been called this and that. He's been like people are giving him crap lately for his view on things. I'm sorry. Eugene is a fan like everybody else, like us. He is like me. He is worried about his team. He's worried about his team performance right now. For him stating that the performance is not there, I'm sorry to be saying this is being negative, and you shouldn't be saying things like that. So we cannot have a say anymore. We cannot say anything anymore because if it's Thomas Frank, we cannot say anything bad about him anymore. We should be quiet for a whole year, give him a whole year, and then after that, then we can say something. I'm sorry. This is football. This is not how things work. We should be able to allow us as fans to criticize and to be saying we are worried because something is not right with his team. And if Eugene is wanting to say that, don't call him negative because he's right now. He's absolutely right. I'm saying if, I don't want this to happen. If things goes really bad and we drop like a fly and we're like 15 or something, then we'll be saying, oh, maybe something is not right. Maybe Eugene was right. So let's just think before we call people negative and we call people names because,
Check is in the mail. But no, it's just interesting to compare with Liverpool, right? Whether we're getting results in the beginning and they're Liverpool, they got top players. And some were saying, hey, look, they're getting results, but the way they're getting results is not sustainable. And they dropped off like a stone. I'm not saying we're them, but they got top players. And with us, we've been getting results too in an unsustainable way. And I'm hoping that we're not going to pull Liverpool and going to drop off. However, if we do, would I be surprised? No. Do I want it to happen? Will I come on and say, oh, I told you so? No, I don't want it to happen.
No.
However, if you're being logical and if you look at all the teams around us and the history and how things are, I'm afraid where we might be on a similar path. And again, I don't want it to happen. However, me talking about what I'm seeing and what I've seen for a long time, you can call me negative. That's fine. Like, it doesn't faze me. I don't care. But it's the truth. It is what it is. So, we'll see. I hope I'm in the mud. I hope I'm wrong.
Look, at the end of the day, football is about opinions. YouTube channels is about opinions and stuff like that, right? But at the end of the day, time will tell. Time will tell. Look, and I'm also shameless, by the way. If we end up beating Chelsea at the weekend, I've said I will apologise to Frank and everything else, and I'll be absolutely shameless with it. Yep. But if we don't, I don't want to see the same people that made excuses today make excuses after that Chelsea game. Let's be consistent. All right, but I think we are going to call it an evening there. Anyone else want to come in? And I think Eugene and Rain and Ryan, did you have a quick say before we end off?
Yeah, there was actually two things. One thing, are you on clubs tonight, Dave? And if so, can I join you? Is the first thing.
No, I'm not on clubs tonight, my man. I've got other things I need to do tonight.
Okay, and then next year is look. At the end of the day, I'm gonna be shameless and say this now. I'm gonna defend Frank like everyone defended Ange last year, and I'm going to defend him all this year like the Ange fans did last year. And I don't care. I'm going to be shameless, and I'm going to say that here now. And you can clip this. Anyone that's in the chat that knows how to clip, please clip this and send this to Dave, because I'm going to be shameless, and I'm going to defend Frank this whole season, like all these Ange lovers have done for the last 2 years, and still do to this day. So I'm sorry if that's gonna trigger anyone. I don't really care, because I've heard it.
I will say,
you did say probably this whole season,
Rhino,
you would give him a free pass. So I think we're well aware.
I'm just gonna say, let's see how long this lasts, because the first thing I heard from you was Vicario was crap, and Kingsley's better than him. And now I'm hearing you changing your song. So let's see how long you go and say you're going to defend Frank. I just want to see how long that goes on. But yeah, time will tell. Time will tell.
That's fine. But do you know what? Sorry, Dave. Right? you know what? I can say, yeah, right? Because I'm only doing what all the Ange lovers were doing last year, right? Because I'm sick and tired. Do you know why? Do you know why I'm doing this though, Dave? It's because I'm sick and tired of hearing, right, that Ange is the best. Ange won us a trophy. I don't care, right? And that's why my stance has turned into being a positive toxic. If that's the if you want me to put
I hear you. No. I hear you. I just find it strange that now trophies don't matter when they matter to you for the last.
No,
I don't know how
many
years.
I want the FA Cup, Dave. I still want the FA Cup.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Look, you're more than entitled to do what Ange fans done and stuff like that. But what I will say is Ange delivered a Europa League trophy. Let's see if Frank can deliver a trophy after his tenure here. But look, that remains to be seen. He's got plenty of time. He's got more cup competitions this season and stuff. So let's wait and see what unfolds. Rain, I mean, look, tough act to follow there. I think Ryan's it, but I mean, do you want to keep it afloat for a few minutes?
I mean, I think we're all in the same place, right? We all know where the team is. We all know where the squad is. We all know the quality of the play, the performances. I don't. What I was hearing, Eugene, with Liverpool was that bad. Good teams play badly and get results, and you do hear that, and you think, really, I'm not sure that's necessarily true. I'm not sure, and it's. I think there's, Liverpool have definitely got problems. I think we've clearly got problems. We've clearly got problems, and how you deal with that, how you solve that, is something that we're all talking about, and we're all trying to work out. Whether you play this player, whether you play that player, how you do, and Frank's doing the same thing. At the end of the day, even with Frank's opinions, and we're all human, we get it wrong. So I don't hold out much hope for Chelsea, Dave. I don't think, mate. I don't think you need to say you were wrong about anything.
No, well,
if we beat Chelsea, I don't think you are wrong. I think you're absolutely 100% right, mate.
I'm petty. If he beats Chelsea, then in hindsight, I'll be absolutely delighted. And in fairness, I go, okay, he's picked up one win in the 2 games. Fair enough, But if he doesn't, I'm going to double down and say he got it completely wrong, and I will have more criticism going his way because his team selection, he's prioritised that Chelsea game. I really hope we win it. I hope I'm sitting there with egg on my face Saturday evening. Tyler, Shawnee, Maddox, everybody, they're all in the comments absolutely berating me. That's what I want Saturday. Let's wait and see if it happens. But if it doesn't, a derby loss off the back of going out of the cup, a lot of fans will have questions to ask.
Well,
he wants all the smoke.
And I don't think they should. I think Frank needs support and backing to deal with the crap that he's got on his plate. That's what I think. But we've all I think we're all in the same place. I think, and we're just looking at it from different angles. That's all.
Yeah.
Just one last thing before going. Just what I mean. Every opinion is good. Like opinion's opinion. Just one thing that really annoys me is that when we do have these conversations, some fans always go back. But Ange, but last season, but 20 losses. What happened last season has nothing to do with what's happening this season. So the deflection tactic to me is mad. It's like why if I say, hey, why is Richarlison playing in the cup game, but Ange? I'm like, what? How does that make sense? Let's forget about Ange. Let's forget about last season. Whether you rate the trophy or not, whether it's irrelevant, right? What's in the past is in the past. Let's focus on Frank, and let's judge Frank and this team on their merits. We don't need to compare it to Ange every single time, because if that's the case, let's compare it to Poch. Let's go all the way back. Like, it makes no sense to me. So I'm usually, I rate every opinion, but the deflections just piss me off. Like,
I'm in the same boat.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's stick with this season, and that's it.
I'm in the same boat, Eugene. Well, we're going to wrap it up there.
so much, EJ, mate. That's because you love Ange so much, and now you're saying that.
He just said he didn't love Ange. He pretty much just said he didn't love Ange. So I'm pretty sure, Brian, you misheard him there. But we're gonna wrap it up there, everybody. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you all tomorrow for Dave's putting together a predicted lineup. We'll be putting out probably a members preview and any bits and pieces like that before Chelsea game on Saturday. So we'll see you next time, everybody. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.